Hi everyone, welcome to another learning session. Today we will talk about callback functions and why we use them, or rather how and when we should use them. By definition, if we provide a function as an argument to another function, it is a callback function. So I have two functions defined here, say hello and welcome, and I'm going to pass this welcome message or welcome function to the say hello function. So welcome, and then I'm going to invoke this welcome function. Then let's invoke say hello, and then I'm going to pass this welcome function as an argument. Welcome. And let's run this. So here we can see that hello and we will learn callback functions is getting printed. Now what if I don't pass this welcome function? Let's clear this out and run this. It will give an error that welcome is not a function because we are not passing anything as an argument to say hello function. So I'm going to write an if condition here. If welcome, then invoke this welcome function. And instead of using the welcome as a function name or an argument name, I'm just going to use the word callback here. Callback. So if there is a callback, invoke this callback function. And let's run this now. Let me clear this and run this. So here we can see that only the hello is getting printed. If I want to pass a function, I can pass welcome. And here we can see that both hello and we will learn callback functions is getting printed. Now that we have some understanding of callback functions, let's talk about why we use them, or rather how and when we should use them. I have written a simple program here that generates the OTP and sends out the OTP to the given email. So I have three functions defined here. The first function generates the OTP. The second function send email. This function sends out the email with the given OTP. And the send OTP function first generates the OTP and sends out the email. And this is the base function that we are using to send OTP. Now, what if I want to send my OTP via a text? How can I do that? So one of the options and one of the most cleanest option is to use callback functions. And let's see how. So I'm first going to create a new function, send text, and I would provide number here and sending text to this number. And then I'm going to pass a callback function to this. And if there is a callback function, I'm going to write if condition, if callback, I'm going to invoke the callback function. Callback function with to and OTP. And if there is no callback function, I'm going to use my default send email function. That's it. And let's try to send the OTP via text. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a dummy number. And then I'm going to use send text. And let's run this. So the first console.log is the default way of sending OTP. The second send OTP callback function is for sending text to this number via the send text function. Now, what if I want to further extend the functionality to call user and give them the OTP? I'm going to write another function. So call user, and then I would be calling, and then I can simply invoke send OTP and call user. Let's clear this out and run this again. As we can see here, calling this number with the given OTP. So this. Now, if you notice one thing here, we are not changing the basic or base functionality for sending the OTP. We are just changing the way we want to send the OTP via callback function. So we are controlling how this function should behave with the help of the callback function. Now, what if I want to further extend and send a push notification? I can simply add a new function, sending push notification to, and then rename this function name push notification, and then simply invoke this send OTP. Push. I'm just going to copy and paste here. So let's clear this out and run this again. So as we can see here, with the help of callback functions, we are controlling how we should send out the OTP. And this is one of the use case of using callback functions. And this is an example of synchronous callback, where we are invoking this callback function right away. We are not waiting for an event to happen. So now let's look at another example of asynchronous events where we would invoke the callback functions on some events. Let's extend this example. What if I want to send the OTP via text after 5 seconds? What would I do? In that case, I'm going to call set timeout function. And the first parameter to this set timeout function is the callback function. In that case, I would try send OTP because I want to send the OTP after 5 seconds. The second param is, or the second argument is after how many seconds you want to invoke this callback function. So I would write, let's say after 5 seconds. And the rest of the arguments are the individual arguments that we want to provide to this send OTP or the callback function. So I would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I want to send it via text. So I will provide a callback function to this callback function. And this is equivalent to writing this. So this is equivalent to writing this and executing this after 5 seconds. So send OTP after 5 seconds. Now let's execute this. If I run this, after 5 seconds, we should see another console.log statement here. And there it is. We are sending text to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 after 5 seconds. So this is an example of asynchronous callback where we are invoking the callback after a certain number of seconds. Let's look at another example of using callback function with promises. Let's extend this example a bit further. Now, what if I want to print a console.log message after the OTP has been sent successfully? Then I will need to first change all these functions as asynchronous functions, and asynchronous functions returns a promise. So async, I would type the word async here. So this means that this function returns a promise, and then I would do the same for all the functions. And then I would call await here. So that means that I am waiting for this promise to be completed. So await, and then I'm going to write a function here, function successfully sent, and this would print the console.log. Console.log successfully sent. Let's get rid of all these extra calls and let's see what's happening here. So I'm invoking this send OTP function. This function is an asynchronous function. It would return a promise. And once this promise is fulfilled, I'm going to invoke then here and pass on my callback function here. So I will pass my callback function here, and then that's it. Let's try to run this. So as we can see here, we have first sent the email and then print out successfully sent message on the console. I hope that you now have much better understanding of callback functions and you can use the concept effectively in your projects now.